Hello, good morning. It's Sherry. I just wanted to jump on here, do a quick video. I know the last time I made a video, I said I didn't know when I'd make another one. I said I probably wouldn't until after Christmas. Anyway, this is my after Christmas video. So, first of all, to anybody new to my channel, first of all, welcome to my channel. This is my grief journey. I'm not a medical professional by any means. This is just my journey, and I make these videos to help myself and anybody else who might need this help. Okay. For anybody who has been following, you know my videos. You know I tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. Okay. So, I just wanted to get started this morning and tell you a little bit about my Christmas and how things went. Okay. First of all, I made it through. I'm here. but I'll tell you things that happened, good and bad. Okay. As I said, I was going to get my sister, and the plan was to get her to spend 2 nights with me so that I wouldn't be alone. Yeah, my Christmas tree's still there. I'm going to take it down today. My little bitty tiny Christmas tree. It kind of looks sad now because there's no gifts around it. Anyway, so here's what happened. First of all, let me explain a little bit. I don't think I've ever explained about my sister. My sister has short-term memory loss, without getting into all of her medical history and everything, but she is in a nursing home, and so it can be quite challenging. Oh, and I'm getting a phone call. Let's just delete that. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. And that was spam. I know it was. Anyway, my sister has short-term memory loss. Like I said, I'm not going to get into all her medical issues. But she lives in a nursing home, and it can be quite challenging to get her. And so my plan was to get her and keep her for 2 nights. Okay, I'll get into that in a minute. I did get her on Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve was, we did go look at Christmas lights. Tried to make the best of it and went and looked at Christmas lights and things like that. She does not remember that we did that. But like I said, I'll get into all of her in a minute. But as far as Christmas Day, I had my stepsons and all 4 of my grandchildren. So it was good. Everybody came over, got them something to eat, and did gifts and everything. So, it was a good time. It was a quick time. They weren't here a little over an hour. That was it. And so which I knew that they I knew they had somewhere else that they were going in the afternoon, so they weren't going to be here that long. So it went really fast. Didn't really get a whole lot of time to visit, but the one thing that I noticed, as far as how I dealt with it grief-wise, it's funny, especially when I have a lot of people around. I try really hard to be upbeat, to not, be sad and all that. But in my heart, let me move this. In my heart, I of course knew somebody was missing. And I was determined that, I wasn't going to get upset. I wasn't going to cry. But it wasn't until everybody left. Like I said, we had everything went fine. We had a good visit and this and that. But once everybody left, and I'm talking not my sister, but everybody else, I got to thinking about it, and I thought, not one person said his name. And I am sure that they don't do that because they're afraid in some way. They're afraid to mention him, thinking that it's going to upset me. But it doesn't. It doesn't upset me to hear his name. It does not upset me to hear memories about him. It upsets me more when he's just ignored, when he's just forgotten. But like I said, I realized nobody said a word. Nobody said anything about him. And, even if they had just said, even if they would have just mentioned him, if they would have just, I don't know. Like I said, I know that they don't want to hurt me. I know that. I get that. But it just, last year, before I passed out presents, I told everybody in unison I wanted everybody to say Merry Christmas to Buddy. Well, which they did. And then this year, like I said, nobody mentioned him at all. And that bothered me. It did. It bothered me. It was like, he could have at least been acknowledged. He could have at least been, that said Merry Christmas, Buddy, or, or we're thinking about your dad, or something, any little something. But he was just forgotten. And that, that hurt. That hurt. I know they haven't forgot their dad or their papa, but they just don't mention him. They don't talk about him. And I will keep his name alive. I will. I will say his name. His name is Buddy. I will say it. And it's just sad. It's just so sad that he's not thought about anymore. And he is by me. I can't get him out of my mind. But anyway, I'm not going to tear up because I got to get through this video. I got things to say. So anyway, I just brought that up, and I want to ask everybody a question. Anybody who's going through grief, anybody who's, in my case, he's been gone 15 months. So this was my second Christmas without him. I know there's people out there that this was the first without their loved one, or it could have been their 8th or 9th. And I'm kind of curious on anybody who it's been more than a year. Were they brought up? Were they mentioned? Did anybody say anything to say their name? I'm just curious. Am I wrong? Because I felt like his name should have at least been mentioned. So let me know what you think. Let me know, put a comment on what you think, or let me know if it was the same for you or different for you. Okay. I'm just real curious on that, because I don't know what the norm is. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I just know it, my heart. And my heart felt like I would have liked to have heard his name. I would have liked to have heard somebody mention his name. Like I said, I didn't even realize it till everybody left. When everybody left, I realized, nobody even mentioned him. Nobody said a word. And I didn't. And it's kind of like a reverse thing. I don't think they wanted to mention him because they didn't want to upset me. And I didn't mention him because of the same thing. I didn't want to upset them because, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what the right thing is to do in those situations. But so let me know what y'all think, or what happened with your Christmas, okay? And anyway, that being said, I mentioned I would get back to my sister, and I am. All right. Not everything, without getting into a whole bunch of stuff and invading her privacy, which I don't want to do, I can tell you that not everything worked out as good as I wanted it to. I did not keep her 2 nights. I only kept her the 1 night. And there's a lot of reasons for that. She is very difficult. I'll just put it that way. Like I said, I don't really want to invade too much of her privacy. I'll just say that she's very difficult, and she gets angry. And anyway, unfortunately, I took her back, and it was just because things were not going well, and so I did, and then that darn guilt, then I felt guilty, then I felt bad, and I felt guilty, and I felt sad. The thing is, but with her, I'm grieving her too. I'm grieving the relationship we used to have before her accident, before everything happened to her. And I was we were very, very, very close. Well, it's, I definitely for years have grieved that relationship. I've grieved, I had a hard time when everything happened to her. I had a hard time. And even now, like when I plan to get her and stuff, in my mind, I still think about the way she was, and things we can do, and trying to do things for her and everything. And it never really works out this because she's not the same. She's not. And I try. But this is the first time, and I think that's why it's bothering me. This is the first time that I didn't follow through in what I was going to do with her. But also, this is the first time I was going to get her for 2 nights in a row. And I should have known better. I should have known that 1 night is pretty much all I can handle. And but it got bad. And like I said, I'm not going to invade her privacy and get into details and this and that. But let's just say, it didn't go well. She got angry. That's all I'll say. She got angry about a few things, and that's just part of her. She's got, like I said, I don't want to get into everything. All I'll say is, I did say she has short-term memory loss, but she also gets confused. So, um, it was hard. It was very hard. And it was even harder on me that I took her home. It was harder on me then. However, I think I was physically exhausted because I came home and I laid down to take a nap. I was just so tired. And because I didn't get hardly any sleep the night before. And anyway, I laid down and I slept for 3 hours. And then I got up and got me something to eat. And I stayed up. I guess last night I went to bed about 10 and I didn't wake up this morning until 8 o'clock. So I was exhausted physically, mentally. I needed to sleep. And I thought about that after I got up. I thought, had I kept her, I wouldn't have gotten any sleep. I wouldn't have got any sleep. And it was wearing me out. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say anymore about that, other than it didn't all go well at Christmas. And, I had some bumps in the road, but overall, I mean, it was okay. I got through it. Put it that way. I got through it. But this is going to sound funny, but I'm so glad I don't have to deal with all the Christmas until next year. Christmas has become for me something that I dread so bad. And I dread it for two reasons. I dread it obviously because I'm missing my husband. But also I dread it because I work at Amazon and they kill us every Christmas. And so, and this year, this year I was trying everything I could think of to make it okay for me. And part of that was my sister spending 2 nights with me. I thought, I don't want to be alone at all. And then when I took her back, I was like, I need to be alone. It was like, so, I mean, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. But that being said, regarding my sister, I obviously, if you don't, I love my sister. But it's very difficult. It's just a very, very difficult situation. And it made me realize something, though. Because when my husband passed, it was brought up to me by her daughter. And I thought of it myself. I thought about getting her and moving her in with me and me taking care of her. And I thought, well, it'll be good for her. It'd be good for me because I wouldn't be alone. And I realized that ain't happening. That can't happen. It wears me down really, really, really bad. And especially, she doesn't always have bad days, but when she does, it takes everything out of you. And so, but anyway, I mainly wanted to, but the other reason for this video, I just want to say I hope everybody did have a nice holiday. We still got one more to go. New Year's was never a big thing for me anyway, so I already know that I'll be fine for that. That was never something that, it wasn't a big thing. The only thing on that, and I am off New Year's Eve, but I live in the country, so you hear the fireworks really loud. And when we first moved here, we used to just go outside, and I could still do it. We used to go outside and sit on our deck and watch the fire. I mean, we could just sit there and watch them. They just going off all around, and they always put on a good little show. But when it's time to go to bed, when I want to go to bed, they don't want to go to bed. And so it's, you you hear it, bam, 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 bam. I was hearing it last night. They were shooting them last night. And I was thinking, people, it ain't time yet. It's like, but anyhow, anyways, I am off work for 4 more days, so I don't know what I'm going to do with myself, but I think I know I'm going to do a lot of housework. And by the way, on that note, I've said that about issues with that, and I do have, as far as I did get everything okay enough, to have company and whatever, but I still got more work to do. I've still got some things to do. It's kind of a never-ending battle with me in keeping up with the housework, because it's so easy to just put it off and say nobody gonna see it anyway. I mean, and I never used to do that, but I do it. I bet it's, it, unfortunately, nobody ever comes over. I mean, the only time anybody comes over is if they're invited. Like, I invited everybody for Christmas and everything. But nobody just stops by. And I did tell my oldest stepson a couple weeks ago, he asked me what I wanted for Christmas. And I told him, I said, you know what I want for Christmas? I said, I want you to come visit more. I said, next year I want you to come visit me. But I know he won't. He won't. He's busy. He's got his own life going on, and and I don't want to cry saying this. I just said that nobody said Buddy's name during Christmas. But I'm forgotten about a lot too. I mean, I don't know. It just, I don't see anybody, and it gets very lonely. It does. It gets lonely. But I'm trying. I'm doing everything I can think of to do. I'm doing, all kinds of, I'm trying to stay busy, and I have noticed that. I've told you that. I've told you that if you stay busy, it's better. If you get idle and you sit around and you're just watching TV, and then thoughts pop into your mind like it just did. So anyway, I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to start doing some housework and laundry and all that. And hope everybody has a great day. Oh, shame on me. I didn't say my 3 things. Okay. The first one really applies to me. It's okay to not be okay. And, that I definitely have days where I'm not okay. And you've seen it. You've seen the days where I'm not okay. And, but it's okay. It's okay to have bad days. And it's okay to not be okay. And then also, I always say grief never ends. But grief is a journey that never ends. The journey changes along the way, but it never truly ends. And then, and love never dies. Those are my 3 things. Those are my 3 sayings that I like. And the other thing that I like to do is always think of something positive. And I'm trying to think in my mind, because I have to think about something think of something positive. Think of something positive that either has happened or will be happening in the day. And I think if I want to think about something positive, I'll think about my grandkids. I did see them yesterday. I got lots of hugs and kisses from my grandbabies. I enjoyed them, opening their gifts and things like that. So that was a positive. The positive was definitely them. But also think about your blessings. When things start falling apart and you start getting really down, count your blessings. Just take a moment to just stop. Even if you're in the ugly cry and all that, just stop for a minute and say, what can I be thankful for? And it's like, it makes you stop and realize, okay, even everything I told you about my Christmas, everything I told you about, them not mentioning Buddy's name that I realized after, and it kind of bothered me. But other than that, our Christmas was okay. Our Christmas was good. But now my sister is a different issue. But on that, I love to, it's really easy for me to, oh, poor me. And even with her, to think about, to get angry that, that she's, that everything that she's going through and everything. But then I have to, well, see, I'll say this. No, I won't. I won't. I just don't want to get into a lot of, I don't want to invade her privacy and say things about her medical issues and things like that. I'm just going to leave all that alone. But all I'll say on that is that it's real easy for me to get upset with God. And why? But I just, I'm looking at my cat, sorry. Hey, what are you doing? You better not, come here. She was fixing to knock a picture down. Anyways, it's real easy for me to get upset, but I don't want it. But anyway, back to counting your blessings. That's when you count your blessings. When you start trying to think only negative things, it's easy to go down. So as far as my blessings, I can go to little things, big things, I did have, I got to watch my sister opening her gifts and things like that. And I did get some time with her, and that was okay. And I got to see my babies, and but you think of your other blessings. I've got a job I gripe about all the time, but I will say this. I gripe about Amazon working us to death all the time, but I will say they do pay good, and they have excellent benefits. And I joke about that because they have such good benefits. That's why there's a lot of old folks there. And there, believe it or not, there's a lot of old people that work at Amazon. And, I'm 62. There's people there older than me. And, and I will be there because you don't get Medicare till you're 65. So if I was to stop working now, I have no insurance for 3 years. Well, at my age, you can't do that. You can't be without insurance. But anyway, the point being, count your blessings. You're going to find some. I guarantee you'll find some blessings in your life. But anyway, I'm going to get off of here. It's already 29 minutes. I did not mean to make it this. You know how I do. I go to rambling. I go to talking. And before you know it, I've made it long. Anyway, everybody have a very, very blessed day. And I will see you tomorrow.